Hello, everybody, and it's another episode of the Springbok Dream Team, and we've come to the end of the team. We've come to fullback number 15. It's been a journey, from number 1 and now to number 15, and we figured, how do you end the Springbok Dream Team? How do you talk about the 15s? And last week we had Juicy in pink, and then we had Jock Free. We had a bunch of legends, but today we've gotten even bigger. Our final guest for the Springbok Dream Team. Young Cooks is very happy. Young Ricky will be very happy to have an honor. 2002 SA Rugby Player of the Year, Jungle Joe, Big Joe Van Niekerk. Thank you so much for joining us on the Springbok Dream Team show.
Thanks, guys. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys, and just a pleasure to be invited to come and join you all.
Cooks, I was starstruck when we traveled together from Cape Town, and I couldn't believe that Big Jungle Joe is getting into a small rental with me. It was intimate. It was very intimate, but good.
This has been a great show for you, Ricky, the Springbok Dream Team, because you've had Austin in the car with you, and now Joe. But also the nice thing with Joe is that coming here, he donated his hair, he says, the plane to choose his jacket.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Look at that jacket.
Was that the hair you had in Costa Rica?
I literally just said, let's leave the camera on Juicy. The whole
my
show.
Goodness,
because it's just amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I used to have some dreads similar to that, bro.
That coming from you, legend.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something right.
Oh, man.
So last week the theme was flowers.
Yeah.
And what is the theme for this week's outfit?
No, razzle and dazzle.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna go out with the bang.
Wow.
It's been a wonderful journey. From number 1 to 15. And we have, a legend himself. If you look at a smile, it's a razzle and dazzling smile. So let me also resemble, the energy, of the legend as well. Also celebrating 30 years, of Springbok success since 1995. It's an old classic,
Yes.
It's the 90s.
The old bootleg.
Exactly, bro. This is what we wear in the 90s, but bringing it back. And who better
What you
to
put in
bring
2000?
No! 98. Just made it.
He's a 90s model. He's a 90s model.
I'm what you call a 1K.
A 1K.
Not a 2K. I'm still a 1K. But it's good to be here, We've been through a lot. So that's razzle and dazzle, gentlemen.
You're a resident dazzle. But Joe, we're going to catch up with you. How have you been? What have you been up to? I think obviously people have seen you more with Skalk and John, but I'm sure some people would love to see what you've been up to these days, and I'm sure they're happy to see you on your screens again.
Yeah, brother, it's so good to be back. In this ambiance and this vibe as well, I really appreciate it. And it was like with Skalk and John. I did bring my massage table, guys. If any of you are keen for a massage, I just want to tell you, it's energetic massage. It's holistic.
You were part of our initial number 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, sure.
Quite an honor competing with quite a few big players. But your rugby career, if you look back, you happy, content with it? Where you at now in your life?
Yeah, I think, obviously in any career, there's many ups and downs, And I think that what I see now in my path is I see that all those downs were part of my growth, were part of bringing me closer and closer to who I am eventually, right? So at the time when there were some things that were difficult and I was transversing them, it seemed really difficult at that time. But now in hindsight, after going through all the things I've gone through since finishing, I just look at it all now as like the greatest gift. And to be able to do this, to be able to play rugby, to be able to live out your passion, as you would know, Rick, it's one of the greatest gifts. It's not, you never work a day in your life, right? When you go to work with that kind of exuberance, invigoration. Yeah. Obviously, it's not always like that, right? but I think initially for me, playing rugby was just all for the love of the game, and just literally just going out there and having fun, man. That's literally what it was for me. Yeah. So. All the ups and downs, brother, they brought me to this place now. And I just think a lot of contentment, a lot of peace. I found peace in it, bro, you know what I mean? Because towards the end, when you come to the end, it's like an ego death. You literally, you come to that place where you know you've been Joe the rugby player, and then you have to kind of see, who am I beyond all of these accolades, beyond the success, beyond the rugby player, you know. And so I think that most players will come to this challenge towards the end of their careers, and yeah, it's just how we are capable of leaning into it, and then also obviously the mentors. Like I feel like a strong, healthy masculine energy in a rugby player's life is very positive. You know, me myself, I grew up. My dad passed when I was like 13 years old, so I've had to navigate that and always searched out for that healthy masculine. But I never really found it until I had my son at 18 years. He's 18 months. So I've just come full circle, and I'm like, oh wow, I see this. I want to be present for him. I want to be there for him. I want to, you know, I want to see him with the rugby ball one day. You know, maybe taking a little kick or running with it. You know, just being that support and present for him has now really brought me full circle in that whole process.
Papa Joe now.
Yeah.
Papa Joe. Papa Joe.
That's the final thing. Papa Joe. You know, we had Victor Matfield on here a couple of weeks ago, Joe, and he described you as the best youngster that he had seen sort of when he was coming through as well. What does that mean for you? And also just take us back to 2002. I mean, yes, when you won SA Player of the Year, but you're also a youngster getting into international rugby. I still remember the try I scored against Australia at Ellis Park, running down there where with the box had no kicker. I mean, that's why I'm still saying I must Brent Russell when you was there, because I think he was playing at 10.
Yeah.
But how was that? And hearing that from Victor, and again, how was for you living that 2002 year, being a youngster, and then you end up sort of being the best player in the country?
Yeah, I think that was a meteoric rise, you know, in terms of like how that all happened. It's just the pace and how it all. But I wanted to like touch into a story around. So when I went to King Edward's the 7th, right? You mentioned that earlier, but obviously Malcolm Marx and Brian Abana, both World Player of the Year now being selected. They both came from that same school. But I wanted to just give a little story into what happened. So what we used to do, I used to be a prefect, right? So I used to take the beds, I used to strip the beds, and then I used to say to the Oaks, because obviously they had to be an army bed, you know, with the corners, like a square box, you know? So it's like, okay, lads, I checked the beds and could see that those lines weren't perfect. It wasn't box shaped. So I said, you either have the ability to do gardening, which was like you have to work in the garden, or you could get, you could pay $5. So the guys, most of the Oaks were like, no way, we're not going to do the gardening, we're going to pay the $5. So we pay the $5. Then me and my mates, we bunk out that night and we go to Rosebank, right? And so we're going to Catch 21. I don't know if you guys know about this. We were still youngsters, right? Catch 21, under 21s. But that night was so special, and it ties into the Ruggers, right? That night, it was a Wednesday, and the Boks were playing New Zealand on the Saturday. So I'm this lighty, I check flipping Bobby Skinstad, bro. I see Joost van der Westhuizen, and they're all there. They're in the club. And they're just out having 1 or 2 drinks and they're going back. At this time, it was $3 for a beer. So we were like,
we got a bad day to be a beer.
It was 5 minutes went to work.
5 minutes, brother, it went to work. So it was special that night because actually I had a conversation with Bobby Skinstad, and he was like, oh, bro, I see you've been doing well, and like, well done on that. Like, and that was for the under 21s. We had just played the under 21s tournament. And it went really well, got Player of the Year. And so it was just one of those moments where it was just remarkable to meet the players and to mingle with them, and for them to actually share inspiration. It just stood out for me massively.
Wow.
Brother, so then it was just a quick rise, you know? It was a quick rise, bro. And the thing is with the quick rise, it's like, but that can also, you know, you can also fall very quickly too, right, from grace. So I think that those were the big lessons that I learned through that. And it builds resilience. It builds fortitude, you know what I mean? It builds character when things aren't going your way. And literally for me, I was always penciled in, right? But it was like, when those things started to shift, that's when I had to search within. And that was the biggest teachings that came from that process,
incredible. I mean, for young rugby players out there, if you want to win SA Rugby Player of the Year, you have to go to Club 21.
Catch 21.
Catch 21. Catch 21. Don't forget that.
Under 5 minutes from Rosebank. So if you catch me Catch 21 this week, it's you playing for the Box next year. Don't be shocked.
Don't question it.
But you are here to vote for our Springbok Dream Team. And last week we did number 14s, and Cheslin Kolbe was the winner. And before we get on to the number 15, we've got to also look back. And Juicy, I mean, I think how are you feeling about Cheslin being named as number 14 for our Dream Team?
I mean, that was my prediction.
Oh, yes.
That was my prediction.
He says it with his chest.
This
today.
time around.
The one time he gets it right.
He says it one time. No. So, I mean, quality player. I mean, I think as I said it as well, I feel like for me, currently one of the players that I just feel like can pretty much do anything. Coming also from a point where you're told, nah, cannot be a Springbok, you wouldn't be one, or you have to change, positions, change yourself to be one. And he just took his time and, come back even stronger, and waves of consistency. It's one of those guys that when you pick a team, you just cannot leave out. You probably have to pick him first. So well-deserved, fan favorite as well. So, yeah. Chesley ain't small anymore. Big man.
Basically, is finally caught up to us, Ricky, getting the picks right, getting Chesley, But it's going to remind us now for the rest of the year.
Exactly. It's probably going to be his Instagram profile picture that he's finally made it to the right call on the Bok Dream Team show.
No, actually, I'm just waiting for him to get less busy so I can give him a call.
Those name droppers.
The influencer, bro. The influencer. I mean, watching that bad influencer, bro. I say, hashtag you can't afford me. Dude, that's you, bro. That's you, bro.
Hashtag you can't afford Juicy. That's why the Dream show is coming in next week. We can't afford Juicy anymore. But, we had Stephen Blanche, Joe, as part of the nominees last week. And Jacques Fourie told an interesting story about Stephen Blanche and Komstaldraad. But before he got to the story, Jacques Fourie had said that he'd give him a nice little coat hanger.
Yeah.
He got injured. Can you tell us about that?
Can you confirm that?
Yeah. So it's interesting because we were playing. We had like trials before, and we were, obviously with Rudolph it was full on. It was Copa stamp a lot of the times. So the Copa stamp is backs versus forwards, or backs versus forwards. But like basically you score there.
And no shoulder check. It's a full on. It's a full on.
We're full on, but so we're in this, and Jackie came into my channel, brother. I swung a coat hanger. And by mistake, I've actually got the scar. Can you check?
Oh, jeez.
By his 2 front teeth, bro. I felt flipping bad, bro. You know what I mean? Because like I'm swinging, but like obviously I want to hit him like low, but I ended up going a little bit high, and then he came into it and so. But that was interesting. He spoke into the story about the boxing match, at Komstaldraad.
Who did you box?
I actually you're never gonna believe it. One of the hardest men in South African rugby, Johan Smith.
Ooh.
I had that beast.
And you were
and I'm literally there. I'm just literally thinking, yes, this guy, I'm going to just jab, bro. Jab, keep him away, bro. Because you don't know that man's strength.
And you're 23 years old. You're still relatively young.
Still relatively young. And it's like, these are your teammates. You love your brothers. You don't want to actually get into a role with them. You know what I mean? And with him, like literally, I reckon we gave it to each other. It wasn't like one of us came off better, but it was a flippin' colossal match. Colossal match.
You should have footage of that, eh?
Yes.
We need to find this of these boxing matches. Were you just wearing clothes with your boxing? Because all the Komstaldraad pictures, they're all naked.
No, that's the only thing we saw on the rapport.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this whole thing around Komstaldraad. I think that like a lot of people have a very negative connotation around it. But for me, I felt like, yes, there were some negative things, but there were also positive things that came from it, right? The one big thing is like being a Joburg boy, because I was like, obviously grew up here, being a Joburg boy, city slicker. Now I'm like, channel my inner bushman, bro. You know what I mean? Like, go get dropped off in the middle of flipping nowhere, bro, at 2 a.m, just once you've been selected. And then you're like, no, come get out of the bus, pick up these poles, bro. 2 guys pick up a pole, different sizes, and you got to track that through the flipping bush. And I remember just some of the things we had to do there, man. Like it was insane. Just from a physical perspective. Like I think in the time that I was there, I lost like 4 kgs in a weekend.
Wow.
You know. But interestingly enough, the story that I actually wanted to share with you all was this. So we hadn't eaten for at least 18 hours or something. And we've been doing all these different exercises and different exercises where we compete against each other. And our team, we worked damn hard. There were three teams within, and we worked damn hard, and we won this competition. So we're like, dude, we won food, or we won something here. So they bring out these boxes. On the boxes, it says Cocoa Pops.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, dude, what's in this? There's definitely some chocolate, some cool stuff. You know what you haven't eaten. You're thinking, this is going to be lekker, bro. So we get there, I open the box head, and there's 3 chickens looking at us. And I'm like, what? I'm city slicker, bro. I'm trying to channel my inner bushman, and I'm like, nah, bro. What? What?
Were these chickens alive?
Yeah, they were alive, bro. And then they were like,
Nando's
let's just say this. I'll end it like this. The chickens got the better of me. And so that was it. You know, what a lesson in life, and just I think that stands out in a lot of people's minds. But I think also it was portrayed as very negative because it went, you know, as you said, the naked pictures and all that stuff when it got publicized in the UK, I think it was just naked pictures of oaks in a hut. You know, it's like oaks in a hut naked, just holding each other, shivering. But there was a lot of, I would say, psychologically, there was a lot within that. If you, I remember the one other story. I'll tell you the one out if you like. So
keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Each oak gets a number. So before you want to speak, you have to say your number. You know, dan say meneer of whatever, 52, you know, or whatever it was. And I remember Derek Hooghart, right? Nummer 24, meneer. Like keep his hand. Now we've been working hard. We've been in 3s, like army stuff, corporal, SS, or whatever the name is. And he's like, meneer, 24, meneer. And the guy comes over, the corporal, you know, and he looks at him and he goes, ja, wat is dit? And he's like, meneer, kan ons sunscreen kry asseblief? And the oaks he's like, can we please get sunscreen? And the oaks are looking at him, he's flipping hard oaks, hard corporal guys looking at him, and they're just like, yes, but
yeah, and there we go.
yes, but you need sunscreen, my brother.
It looks like this World Cup's not coming home.
Exactly, bro.
The dream is over.
The dream's over.
He's also in the middle of cup asking for
sunscreen, bro.
No. Don't bother saying that, but guys, we can sit and talk about cup stones the whole time.
For days, we can do this.
We've got a job to do. People at home need to vote in who's they fullback. I'm going to scan the QR code, but before you vote, I need to give you the nominees, and we've got 6 names, another stack list. I think this might be the closest one we've had. Starting off with Gio Aplon, the Rolls Royce, André Joubert, Zane Kirshner, Willie le Roux, Damian Willemse, Percy Montgomery. Ricky, I don't know how we're going to...
Can I just so we're bragging about K's and stuff. Can we just acknowledge that there are 2 Paul Rooses?
2 Paul Rooses.
2 Paul Rooses in this nomination. I mean, we have to acknowledge that.
We have to bring that up. Just to mention.
Just saying.
Just because Joe, the guest, brings up his school, there's no need now for you to add in Paul Royce.
We're also giving insight into these guys' history and background,
where they come from.
And your first one this episode happens to be acknowledged Paul Royce.
There were 2 Paul Royces. Not one, there 2 Paul Royces. So
don't forget the sax boy as well, hey?
No, but we're focusing on Paul Royce today.
But those fullbacks, I mean, it's a stack group. Probably, we've had some tight ones, but this could be the tightest one we've had to finish off.
Definitely, I think very tightly contested. We see different kinds of fullbacks. And just to take 2 steps back, I think a fullback of utmost, he's sort of your safety net there at the back. Kicking those aerial balls onto to a person at the back. I think a fullback, what always stood out for me about the number 15 position, the ability to join the line, creating that extra attacker in the attacking line. So definitely guys that have the ability to cause havoc, but interesting as well that they are different kinds of fullbacks. But we also have seen how, and it's interesting that it's moving like this, how it's evolved over the years, the fullback position, but very tightly contested group.
You know, Joe, so Juice is also, he breaks down all positions for us because there's no position he hasn't played in the rugby field. So Juicy, whilst we're here to talk about fullback, I know somewhere there's a story about you playing fullback or at least drop back and catching the ball somewhere at the back.
You know, Joe, there's a league called Heritage League, you know, back in the Eastern Cape. Right. So I had the privilege in order to be, you know, one of the players that, you know, you can put anywhere.
Yeah.
But this time around, they were like, no, you're not going to be a forward. We'll put you in the back line.
Oh, jeez.
Right. Started at center. At some point, dropped down to fullback. Right. So now to go
To go there.
Now to go to.
Because last week Juicy wasn't playing, but now this year he's now being said, Juicy, you killed me.
No, listen. True story. I'm not gonna lie. True story. But I wasn't supposed to play.
Yeah.
I was just there as a spectator.
Okay.
But you know, when some teams they miss players, like, oh, can you guys just fill up? Like, oh, you're a big guy. Just come in. We'll just find some shorts for you, and you know. I'm like, guys, I can't get injured. I'm preparing. I'm in a pre-season, Queen's College.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I'm in a pre-season. Need to, stack up. But I was like, okay, let me just do it. But anyway, fullback, right? Okay. Obviously, what I look forward in the fullback as is someone that could obviously manage the game from the back. Make sure, the positioning is very, of course, opposition can normally kick balls. They need to always be there and also just arrange, the defense of the team because they see what we don't see from the back.
Sure.
Right. So those comms coming in from the back to the front. Someone who's very good with kicking.
Yeah.
Because obviously just relieve pressure from the team when the ball comes back. If it's a game where it goes ping pong, someone that can be able to manage this for us. But it's a quality lineup there. I've played with, against one of the guys there, Damian Willemse. I remember Craven Week 2015. That was my first Craven Week. I was, for some odd reason, the captain in the Craven Week as well, every single time.
Wow.
Like, losing captain, please come. And my face would always just show up. But I remember Damian Willemse at the time was like really, really hot. I think it was him, Cohen Bosch, and currently now our Springbok 10 in Money Liebok. There was those three guys, but Damian Willemse every single time he would, do his thing. By the time I was playing 10. And I remember before they went up to the 2023 Rugby World Cup, I had a word with him, and I just like how, some of the guys in our age group that I feel like was his true inspiration and how he has grown and how his game also matured. You can see what he's currently doing now in his consistency as well in the jerseys, playing different jerseys. Someone that you can play 12, you can play at 15, you can play at 10. Very talented guy, good feet.
I'll get back to Damian, but I feel like when we have this fullback chat, and especially with Joe here, I mean, you got to start with the guy who's our first centurion. He's got the most points as in Springbok history in Percy Montgomery. And Joe, I'm sure when you sort of played with Percy and met him, it was a different type of player, bit of a maverick then.
Yeah.
And I think people look at with Percy, they look at the last bit under Jake, solid goal kickers and but he could run it with the best of them, and Percy, and he played a bit of centre as well. What was he like? What was he like to play with? I mean, because there's two sides of him, the Percy with Jake, and the other Percy.
Yeah, it's so true. I think Percy Montgomery, when he came on the scene, he maybe got criticized quite a bit, but he really had the X factor, you know what I mean? And I mean, he also had some flippin' amazing highlights. And I think me and him competed for the highlights at a stage, bro. Like, honestly, I used to have those blonde locks too, bro. He did. And I remember, like, in that 2004 Tri-Nations win, there was a picture of myself, Skulk, and I think Percy was in it, and it was just like the blonde locks. I reckon that helped, like, give you power. But anyway, so Monty, professionalism, bro. When he came back from, I think it was Newport, he was in Newport.
Yeah.
When he came back from that, obviously he got given the lifeline with Jake, and then that, mate, that was like, I don't know, I just always revered and kind of looked at Monty as in the terms of how he trained and his professionalism and how he showed up. And I think that he consistently did that, because to make 100 test matches, as we all know, that's another dimension, right? So the commitment, the professionalism, all of those things, I think he represents that in terms of where he went. And then obviously, as you mentioned, Cooks, like as a kicker, bro, the most points in a Springbok jersey, like that is in itself, it's massive. And I think also Jake really used his left boot, you know? So when we had play center, we had left. He had his left boot who could kick left, and then we had right fly half, like who can kick right. So we had all these different options. And as you both mentioned, like, what's the fullback's main responsibilities, right? As at the back to defend, but then also the high balls, and then also coming into the line. So that's why for me, it's like, I don't know, just looking at this group of players, it's really tough to select who you would take as number one. Obviously, 100 tests, Willie le Roux. I never played with Willie. And obviously, André Joubert was seriously, in the 1995 World Cup, was one of the biggest, was one of the best players, like the Rolls Royce, right? I don't know, I had that picture on my wall, you know, him, it was Joost, André Joubert, and James Small.
From
the U, bro.
Yeah,
from the U. They were flipping.
That was all our pictures on our wall.
Woman as well.
But I mean, so looking at this group of players, like, I mean, it's just exceptional, right? The talent that's there. Damian Willemse, as you mentioned, juicy juice. Man, what a phenomenal player. Even Gio Aplon, phenomenal too, bro. In terms of his attacking abilities, were probably some of the best I've ever seen, like as a player. And I remember you guys had the pocket rocket, Brent Russell. He was also in that mold of pocket rocket, but like, literally, size-wise, you'd never expect that he would be able to mix it. And look at these players, man. Cheslin Kolbe, the same. So this pocket rocket, there's a place, and there's more than a place, because they actually can go to 9. They can play at any position. The skills are there. So, but I think this is going to be a tough one.
No, it's going to be a tough one. Ricky, one of your heroes, Gio Aplon. And the interesting thing with Gio is that it's not just that, you know, they say, okay, he's small, you put him on the wing. He went to fullback, got under the high ball, had a boot. But, I mean, they speak a lot of, obviously, his attacking game is otherworldly. But, I mean, for him to be there just shows, because he kind of, what they have now in the Cheslin Kolbes and the Cody Lawrence, playing the wing together, it's that man there, Gio, you know, the scrum cap on, shows that you can do it. You can, and also coming from the 7 star. I mean, what a story.
Yeah, I think, and I think we've mentioned it before. He sort of paved the way for a lot of the Power Rangers that came after him, and also made. And until today, you mentioned a wonderful relationship with him, somewhat of a mentor still for me after rugby, But he really, even in the time that he spent with the chases of that generation when he was a senior, he always looked to make the players around him better. And I think that shows of the kind of character, the nature that he has. The one thing is that we sort of sad about, that he did not get enough time in the green and gold, because people were very fixated in the past about having these big players in the backline, especially in fullback, especially on the wings. You're competing against some big All Black wingers at the time. But he really showed that he can punch above his weight. I think the one person that can change direction without losing speed, he would still on the swerve beat his opposition. So definitely, the only thing why it would be very difficult for him in this category that he didn't play as many tests. He definitely had the ability to go on and play for a very long time, but that's what the only thing that sort of where I feel for Gio in Springbok history and in the nominations of today.
Would have loved to. Imagine having Curtly Orange, Kolbe at 14 and then Gio at 15. I mean,
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
that's dangerous.
And
X Factor.
And he played a big role at the Bulls as well when we came back. We
Senior role,
forget about that. Jake brought him in.
Yeah.
He played a massive role in a guy like Curtly's life, and all these guys will testify to that. They'll say what Gio has done for them, and his ability to read the game, his X factor. We've all mentioned that, and just his explosiveness, and just a phenomenal human being.
No, that's incredible.
true.
And Juicy, you talk about another player who probably didn't have the caps, more caps than want is Zane Kirsch, Mr. Reliable, as I call him, where, you go to Leinster, he's a hero there.
Yeah.
I mean the way he played there for Leinster and the rugby he played, but you sort of in that gap, Heineken Meyer used him quite a bit, but as 15 years fighting with Willie and sort of Gio was there, France then was there, but with Zane Kirsch, for me, Juicy, when I think of him, I just think of him Mr. Reliable. Just they won't let you down. There's no frills, no fuss. What are your thoughts on Zane Kirschner?
The total quality, bro. I remember watching him against New Zealand for the first time, and I was actually really just sort of like worried how he's gonna probably handle, the whole game. If he's really gonna step up, from because when you wear the green and gold jersey, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
And he just handled it with superb class. And crazy enough, I was actually keen on working with him because he was I think he was coaching quite recently at the SWD.
Oh, okay.
I think he's not the coach now currently, but trying to revive my own career or end it off in a nice way. I was on the calls with him to try and get me to go to SWD for a bit, but obviously that didn't work out. But also outside that, he didn't just ask me about being the player. It's like, dude, how are you actually doing? Like as Siam Tana Jwat, the rugby thing. Why do you want to come back? And just like a mentor in that as well. Total class of a gentleman. As you said, it's just a pity that probably didn't get much game time in the green and gold because some changes also just come and happen. But where quality of a player. I really enjoyed watching him in that Fullback jersey.
Yeah, we speak of some guys being underrated. He was in that mix. I mean, he played in that 2010 Bulls side. Played for us with like undefeated division. So like it showed for me like how solid he was, and all of a sudden he doesn't get his due. But talking about someone getting his due, I mean, the best nickname in rugby, the Rolls Royce of fullbacks. I mean, André Joubert. I mean, and Joe, you mentioned that. I mean, he's a hero of yours growing up. I mean, you get semi-finals playing with a broken hand. You get, I mean, obviously even in the final, but just back in those days, and the way people speak about it, it's just a complete package: kick, run, pass. And the guys weren't just saying he was the best. I mean, they're saying in the world he's up against the Cullens and the Matt Burks at the stage, and he still stood out as so good.
I think also like in South African rugby to be called the Rolls Royce. I mean, that's the top of the top, right? So like us growing up, I was 15 years old when I watched that 1995 World Cup final, and man, just the performance of that man and his composure at the back, you never felt like he was ever in doubt. And that day, I don't know, it just stands out. That's why for me, when I look at this list, I'm like André Joubert because of what it meant for me in that era. This was a 30 years, right? So that first part was me 15 years old, just playing, I think I was playing lock at the time, second row, right? And I'm watching this game and I'm just like, and I noticed on that day how all creeds, how all colors came together and how it shattered the mold of the past, bro, in sport, right? And so what that represented for us, or for me particularly, was just this massive change into the true Rainbow Nation, right? With Nelson Mandela and everything that represented. That stands out in my mind to this day. And just the man that that Nelson was and the saint that he was, right? Like that shifted everything. So that's why for me, it stands out so much in terms of like what that represented and what it meant. And as you say, brother, Rolls Royce, high ball, flip. I remember before that it used to be called a guy Johan Hiernes, and he was, but also the Rolls Royce with these massive, deep lefties. Him and Monty in that way, very good because they could both kick left foot. And man, and the way he would attack the line and it just stands out.
Cooks, I think we failed to mention that he perfected the Tory.
Yeah.
The torpedo,
exactly.
like, we forget the Tory. And it's not utilized enough anymore. I think when did I say 2 weekends or a few weekends ago, was it the All Blacks that kicked up the up and under with the Tory? I don't know who it was, I can't remember. But the Tory is a skill to be mastered.
Oh.
And a weapon.
It's a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, man, to add on. But, Joe, do you think that's where your skill set also got awakened, seeing these guys throw the ball around because you were skillful as a loose forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like just the amount of skill that these players have. I mean, you've spoken to Damian Willemse too. I feel like this guy's just like getting started. He's like then that X factor. So it's just like the things that they do on a rugby field, I feel like nowadays it's becoming much more like a hybrid in a way. This hybrid, like the Estes and on the flanker, moving from the backs to the forwards. What nuts is that? But then also Damian be able to switch between positions. So it's just like, yeah, brother, the looking at it now and the way that the team is and how they're performing, it's like another dimension. Literally this last game that watching them play against Ireland, that was a physical game, right? It was full power. But South Africa just manages to just take it another notch. And that, like, just seeing that and then just actually recognizing, wait, like, if we are world champions 12 years in a row, that will be unheard of. Sure. So potentially this team will probably become the best team in the whole of history, right? Sure. Imagine. So that's something to comprehend. And I think that as South African supporters, as Bok before, you know, like we are showing up every week and we're so stoked because it's like they just win every time, and it's like the greatest gift being a Springbok supporter right now.
It's best, you know? It's the best place to be, especially with the scrum we have. But Ricky, I mean, it's a Paul wristband. So you were in school that time, and you were with Willie le Roux, the other Centurion. You know, started the most test caps at fullback for the Springboks. But the reason why I sort of want to talk about Willie le Roux, for me, it's, you know, the way fullbacks played was, you know, guys, it's in the boot, you know, running back with full force. But what Willie brought, what many fullbacks have, is that playmaking ability, where that's where he sort of made his trick as that second playmaker, you know. Loves in the system. He's probably in Pretoria now, helping a lady across the road or something with his teammates. But loves in this, but a different type of 50. He comes in first, you know, a first receiver, looking to make plays. He's the guys that other coaches in Heinicke and Russell started going, you're the one that's made to make plays. And the team looks at you, you're a creator, and he's one of the best guys to watch live. But your thoughts on Willie le Roux? Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned he's the assist king, and I think about sometimes it's also, as a rugby player, you want to score the winning try, or you want to have that Instagram photo where you're celebrating like this. But Willie has been, when he's still playing, so selfless in his approach in the play, always looking for the space, looking to put players into space, and definitely a person that I think there's a reason he played 100 caps. There's a reason he went through a lot. You mentioned about the rise and the full. Took a lot of criticism at a time in his career, but still managed to rock up every single time. When he put on the Bok jersey, when he put on the Bulls jersey, he still adds so much value as well. So I definitely think my recollection of Willie at school was, and this is also something people sometimes misinterpret with his body language, he's passionate about the team he's playing in. I made my debut, I think I shared it with you guys, I don't know, but I made my debut in grade 8, not grade 8, I was 16 years old, standard 8.
For the 8. First team.
Yeah, and then Willie was my fly-off. And it was under the sacks, cold weather, raining down under the Table Mountain at sacks. And I ran onto the field as a 16-year-old and I passed the ball to Willie on his toes.
And he,
And he came, and he came to me. He's like, Rick, I won't use the colorful language he used, but he said, Rick, if you pass the ball to me there again, I am taking you off this field. He said it in Afrikaans. I'll act you van die veld af. But I think that of the players around him always wanting them to be excellent. And that is what you want. You want someone keeping you accountable, pushing you. And that's why he could have such a long career. And that's why he could run at 100 caps for the Boks. So a definite, well-deserved nomination.
And also with Willie, I always say to people, you got to watch him live. Because you see the way he sort of sits in behind the traffic. But you see him literally sprint across the field to see the space. Sprints back all the way here. He's always in search for space, looking for space. And the way you communicate to his 10, giving information, going, listen, hold, okay, it's coming, it's going to come now. Because in his mind, he's just trying to see where's the space and how can he create something. And I mean, I remember on the wing at the Cheetahs when he came through. And it felt different. Like, do you see the way that Willie sort of operated? Like, because if you look at most of these guys, like they could ball runners and that's what they came. Whereas Willie's like is the one sort of the guy who sort of stands up going, I'm here as a natural born playmaker. I'm just here to create. And it's something that we don't have. Not many people do, but it's what makes him so special.
Much Ivan,
exactly.
We just let him dance, do his thing. Listen, I had a picture of him when he was still in the Cheetahs.
Oh yeah.
Because when he flicks his feet and he does this, forget.
It's done, eh?
Just
forget. And that's what the creativity starts. I think also what he brought into the Bok jersey was the creativity. Because at the times we will get criticized by we weren't really playing exciting rugby or we're not creative enough.
One-dimensional.
One-dimensional. But when Willie came in, as you said, second fly-off, not selfish with the ball. He lets the ball do the work. You know what I mean? Make sure he releases those players. And if he sees a bit of a mismatch, okay, he'll probably take it on, but release it at the right opportune time for the finishers to finish it. And I like how he's always, he has grown to also just be that Iceman. You know what I mean? And pouring down the knowledge to like the guys like Damian Willemse, making sure that they see the fundamental stuff that they need to do. And that's one thing that you saw, like you have to give credit to him for, is that he has built himself up to be that player, and also the knowledge he just also lets it down to the other guys as well.
I think people forget, you talk about criticism, like when Willie started, and in that era, like we were like one-dimensional. He was the one in charge of attack, but he would try things. The problem is that sometimes the pass might go to the ground. But Willie, he wouldn't like shut. He wouldn't stop. Where like now, like sort of you're seeing. I'd have loved to see like a young Willie in this way you play now. As he walks into the setup, like Damian Willemse is thriving and Kolbe, and he has been really played a big part. Imagine him like as a youngster going with this Tony ball, they're calling it now, where he had more license to try stuff, and it's encouraged.
I think also what is a clear point, you said it, he's selfless, right, in terms of his attack. He's always looking to put guys into space. And then I also think that the other word for me is perception. He reads plays really well before they've even gone down. He's already read that play and then what's going to happen on the next phase. So you need players like that in a team that actually can read the play before it's even taken place. Or maybe they're even 2 plays ahead because they see where that try is going to be on the third rack or whatever, So that's where I think Willie he's got a rugby brain, and he's got that sensing, the intuitive sense of like, okay, this ball's going that way, okay, but if we bring it this way, boom, there can be space there. So that kind of vision, I think, is what his forte is.
A natural baller.
Yeah, natural baller. Natural baller, bro.
Also, talking about natural ballers, we've got hybrids now, Joe. Would you like to dabble? As a hybrid, go from back to the forwards. At 8, did you get to spend some time at the back? How do you think you've done as a hybrid?
I want to just say that I would have loved to have played in this era, because if you look at the Peter Steph du Toits, how much space. Because everyone's doing their job, right? When it comes out to that wide channel, that's obviously there's clearly a game plan to have those Lucy's roaming in the 15. And flipping every single time that they get it there, And you know, like the best thing as a loose forward is when you break through a gap. And I mean, imagine it's any position, right? You know this, like if you break that gap and you go through, I always imagine it's like you run a beautiful unders line, right? So the fly half's got it, and then you say, okay, now I'm gonna run a line back here. And he pops you in that gap. And when that hole opens, and you just catch it at the same time, you're through, and then you're running, and you're in space. I don't hear anything when I'm there. I just flip in. I'm in space now, baby. Run as fast as you can, boy.
Go.
You know? I just did. So that's the joy that's like within that. But yeah, take me back to why we were talking about that.
You hybrid.
Would you be a hybrid?
Oh, so okay.
Joe can picture himself through space. And
He's scoring the try already.
No, but yeah, I think it's exceptional. Let me just say that a back going to forwards.
Yeah.
That's another dimension, right? That's like, you know, I think the other way around. You're obviously with the pace, right? Because some of outright pace. Initially, before any injuries and stuff, like happy days, put me on the wing or whatever.
Because you weren't slow. You weren't slow.
No. Especially in those formative years, like because there was obviously the more injuries you get, like it can affect your speed. But then again, like so as a hybrid player, look, I mean, I think that like where I roamed a lot was all the positions of the back row, and then never really kind of maybe set down in one position, always 7 or 8, and then sometimes even 6. So like, but obviously I wasn't a 6. I wasn't an open side.
It was 8 or 7, but we do gotta get our votes in. I mean, I would love to vote for Joe as my hybrid. Yeah. It's just funny with like you know, like you mentioned Peter Steff on the wing. So when he's on the wing, he wins Player of the Year. But if I'm on the wing and I play rugby, I get called soft. It's perception. Like Joe said, it's perception. But it's tough for us to get our votes in. You guys scan the QR code and get your votes in, and we're going to try and help you. And we got to start with Juicy. You know, I mean, who's making your team as who's a fullback?
Razzle dazzle. You know, I think for the longest time when we've, you know, spoken about the number 15 jersey and the Springbok jersey, you know, Percy Montgomery's name, you know, has always just stood out, you know, and the quality of player that, you know, obviously it was, we mentioned, you know, our first ever centurion in the Springbok jersey, and had a record, you know, that Sasha obviously broke quite a few, but he had that record for so many long times. And I think, you know, for that massive put in what I personally look forward to in a fullback, I'm definitely going to vote for him. Would love to put Damian Willemse there, but I still feel like there's still you know, a lot that he's currently doing now. You know, I just like the way that, you know, whenever a game is tight and, you know, and we seem like we don't have any direction, he just picks up his hand and, you know, he just goes. So I think there's still a lot coming from him, but definitely going with Percy with this one.
Rix?
Have we decided holistically if Damian Willemse is a 15? Though.
No, it's like you opening.
Oh, no, new can of worms. Let's
12, there's 10.
You know, I think, and obviously my heart is always leaning towards my mentors like the Braithies and the Gios, but I'm gonna risk my pedigree here and my reputation. I'm gonna go with Juicy, and I'm gonna follow Juicy. I think Percy. I think for the first Bok to reach 100 caps. We also didn't he have a MCL or ACL, a knee injury in that final? And we speak about Percy being the maverick and the playboy when he came on, but that's also grit, man. To play injured, and we know André Joubert as well. Willie Strandhond, I apologize, we'll make it right. But Percy, definitely, I think a special place with the 15 jersey, man.
And Joe, will you give us a vote?
It's a bit of a tough one, eh? But I think I feel like Damian's still got more to go, as you said, Juice. And I mean, obviously, like anyone to get to 100 caps in a Springbok jersey puts you in a different league. André Joubert, I love that because it was so touched my heart so much that he was part of that team and they, shifted so much in South Africa. But then I think I'm going to go because Percy's definitely had the best highlights. No doubt about it. But no, Monty, no doubt. I think also the fact that Monty was the highest point scorer as well, which is huge, Having not been, I think, earlier the place kicker, and then he became that for South Africa. And then obviously just the amount of tests and what he represented specifically in that 2007 World Cup was absolutely huge. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Percival Montgomery.
This is 3 Percys. I'm going against the trend. I want some upriver.
Okay, you salmon you.
Wild caught salmon, bro.
If you have this number 2 years time, it'll probably be Damian Willemse the way he's going. But it's still more sort of to come. I know it's a back-to-back winner. Arguably the most gifted of all these guys in terms of, the talent that he has. For me, it's Willie, the Strandhond. I've got 4 years now as our base 15. Like I said, what he brought to the table, the difference, the maverick, the playmaking, just the way he reads the game and plays, chasing the sun. The made a whole package about him playing with, basically, feeling in his shoulder. And then the guy showing the value is what he brings to the team, having been the guy of the final pass. So 3 Percys and Willie. So I'm either going to be very wrong or next week I'm going to be on your guys' cases.
And you're going to come probably with a Willie jersey, probably.
Yeah. with a Willie jersey, I'll go to Joe's house for a free massage this time because I got it right. But
no, gentlemen, wait. Sorry, Cookie. Sorry. Just before we leave, I need to share something with you guys. Something really
juicy.
Something really special, man.
What are you busy with again now?
Let's check this out.
So, I got gifted this by a really special lady back in 2023.
Wow.
Yes.
So, I just saw it fitting that, I bring it up, and share it with you guys. You know what I mean? This is
amazing.
The 1995 winning team, portrait signed by those players as well.
Wow.
André Joubert at the end.
Unbelievable.
Exactly. We had André Joubert at the end. Obviously, our captain, was obviously nominated in number 6 jersey as well.
Choosy, lift off your mic. The guys want to hear you properly. There you go.
You got awesome.
Right in front of your face. Hey, Choosey's hiding.
Choosy didn't think this through.
It's a big portrait. So okay, maybe like this. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think we all have spoken about how this year and the Springbok team when they won the Rugby World Cup 30 years ago, how it shifted a lot of things, just not in the sport but in the country as well, and how Ricky was still at Spur doing his thing while watching this game. Yes, pretty special gift that I have here. I think I burst into tears while I got this. I think it was one of the most memorable gifts anyone has ever wanted to give me, because I'm not someone that really gets gifts. Even on my birthdays at times, and I remember my 10th birthday, that's the last time I probably, had people gift me something. So
I'll buy you a gift next year, Juicy.
Thank you so much, ladies. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. We're celebrating 30 years of this, the Springbok, what we've been here.
Man,
so
that's amazing.
So you're gifting this?
You.
Is he
Giving
gifting
it to
us?
us?
No way.
What was the point?
I thought he was giving it to us.
Is Juicy just showing off his whole art at home and now
I was like, Juicy, what a great gift for us to end the show.
Well, okay, fair enough.
No. You see, but before we wrap, Joe Box playing Wales this weekend. Your thoughts on the Box side in general? It's incredible. Great win on the weekend, and now they're so wrapping up the season against Wales.
Yeah, I think it was just like it was just another dimension on the weekend, and just seeing the Springbok side in that kind of form and that presence, and just the way that they played was just it was actually mind-boggling, to be honest. Just watching that, because to be fair, Ireland were really playing, and they were at home. We haven't beaten them in Dublin for 13 years. So I think that just in terms of where the team is now, and just the you know, what they're putting out as a performance each week, the consistency, the senior players, the coach, the whole setup is just like on another dimension in terms of rugby. And so, but in saying that, I think that this week they only can select a certain amount of players, right? Because a lot of the players are playing abroad in Japan and.
I think Rassie mentioned like 25 players that they'll be training with for the week.
Yes.
So it's a whole new challenge for us against a Wales team that feels that their toes are a little bit in the air, but like after the recent matches, they've been through a tough time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
How they
and how the selection for Rassie with a smaller group of people.
Even for Wales, I mean, they're losing quite a few guys who
course.
go back to the Premiership, so that's going to be interesting. Juice, were you this weekend?
No, this weekend, you know, I'm always hosting a braai.
Yes.
You know, just to obviously watch the Springboks. So probably going to be hosting a braai somewhere. I'll be around in Joburg, I think, just doing Bloom on Friday, and then Saturday I am back in the Josie, hitting up with the Steaks. So expect an invite from me. If not, watch me on the
we're
TV.
going to braai lekker.
She's invited the whole of South Africa.
Wellington Book Friday this weekend, if I'm not mistaken?
In Wellington, yes, a lovely. What you googled the place earlier?
Is Chapman's? No.
Palace. We had a palace this week. Yeah, Book Friday in Wellington. As was een land, die Boland.
Oh yes,
Die Boland.
Die Boland, close to home. So looking forward to that on Friday night.
Die Boekleef?
Die Boekleef.
That was
Meer as ooit. No.
Hulle weet nie wat ons weet nie.
See, Joe,
But I got to ask Joe because you know I'm going to be at the game. I'm going to be in Wales.
of course you are.
Are you going to be there?
Hi, bro.
Wales?
Look at that soft world, bro.
Just drop it in there.
I'm sorry.
Just drop it in there.
Just stop it there. I'm going to be in Wales. Joe,
Yeah.
we're going to ask you. I asked Jacques this last week. Best tour memories in Ireland, or especially in Wales. Do you have any good tour story? What's the best one? Clean as a
Clean to a story. Well, I think that like for me, definitely the Barbarians was a crazy game. Crazy because it's literally 2 weeks, you know, playing England and Wales. And then you basically got, like we did like 2 weeks in Ibiza. So you can imagine that for 4 weeks, a season ending early, we had 4 weeks just on the sauce, brother. And it was literally, X came back after that with a couple of mental issues, a couple of sore bodies. But yeah, we beat England and Wales both in the last minute. We actually scored a try the first test in the last minute. So it was true Barbarian style. But there was one story that was interesting because this wasn't essentially on tour, but it was with Toulon. The big man, Bakkies Puerta, you know, he left some beautiful stories along the way and some wonderful memories. And so, yeah, I was just reminiscing and thinking about it. And I remember that like one of the seasons he came back just before the season and he was like a little bit heavier than, you know, what he should be. And in terms of the training and so forth. And he said to me, no, listen, yeah, Jokey, I'm back on the yogurt. And it was like basically yogurt and water. That's what he used to have to lose the weight. Flip. And he lost the weight quickly, bro, with that specific diet. He ended up losing it very quickly. But that's what he used to say. And also another mention on that, it was interesting because over the 3-year span, we had 2 words, bonjour and merci beaucoup. That was it. And he said, listen, yeah, Joe, I'm not here to learn French. I'm here to play rugby.
That's so on brand.
And it's like, because like we were mates like from way back, like when we played under 19s together, no, schoolboy together. So all the way, it was like full circle, him coming back to Toulon. But brother, sorry, I didn't answer yours entirely around the tours. But yeah, man, what beautiful memories having been over there. I think also the thing is like when you're winning, it makes things so much sweeter, right?
Yeah.
When you you're struggling against Scotland or you're finding it tough against the French, or in the case of where they are now, they're in another dimension, eh?
It was a good place to be.
Yeah.
Who were some of the names in the Barbos team of that Barbos team? Can you remember?
There's some of the guys. It was a lot of French guys. So Bastero, you remember Bastero?
Yeah.
Bratster? And We had Willie Mason. He came from Rugby League. Sergio Parise.
Sure.
Yeah, we had that was some of the best experiences, man. Like just literally like probably top of the top, but you needed recovery afterwards. Rest and rejuvenation.
If you guys see me with yogurt and water next week, you'll know why. After surviving Wales. But thanks, Shoes. Thanks, Rick. Joe, thank you so much for joining us. You guys at home, make sure you get your votes in. It's come down to the last position in the Springbok Dream Team. We will be back next week to recap Springbok Dream Team. So you still got us for another week. Lord knows what Shoes is going to wear next week. We don't know what Shoes is going to bring on next week, but we'll see. But for now, have a good one. Enjoy the rugby this weekend and see you soon.